estimates of revenue and expenditure of the Gambia for the fiscal year 2025, that is 1st January to 31st December 2025, both days inclusive, on Friday, 15th November 2024. Accordingly, and pursuant to Section 1521A of the 1997 Constitution and Order 86 of the Standing Orders, the National Assembly considered and approved the said 2025 estimates with amendments on Tuesday, 3rd December 2024. Therefore, in pursuance of Section 1523 of the Constitution and Order 87.2 of the Standing Orders, the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs shall today introduce the Appropriation Bill 2025 for consideration and enactment by this August Assembly. In doing so, and as per Order 87.4 of the Standing Orders, the Honorable Minister will set out any amendments made to the estimates, present and outline government fiscal policies and program for the year 2025, commonly referred to as the budget speech. Consequently, honorable members, the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs will proceed to table the Appropriation Bill 2025 before us today. I thank you for your attention. Clerk, may we proceed?
Bills. Section 152 of the 1997 Constitution and Order 87 of the Standing Orders. Appropriation Bill 2025, budget speech by the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs.
Honorable members, the bill is deemed to have been read the first time, and I will now invite the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs to table the bill. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and His Excellency, Honorable the Vice President, His Excellency the Vice President and Cabinet colleagues, members of the National Assembly, distinguished participant present, all of the protocols duly and respectively observed. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled An Act to Provide for the Services of the Government of the Gambia for the period 1st January 2025 to 31st December 2025, both days inclusive, be read a second time. Honorable Speaker, in January 2024, His Excellency Adama Barrow, the President of the Republic, launched the Recovery Focused National Development Plan, otherwise called YIRIWA 2023 to 2027. The plan seeks to consolidate gains in democratic governance, accelerate economic growth and social transformation, and build resilience to shocks and crises. Implementation is now in progress, and notable gains have been registered in some areas such as macroeconomic stabilization. The domestic economy witnessed a sustained recovery despite uncertainties in the global economy. This is being driven by increased production and productivity in agriculture, recovery in tourism, and unwavering construction by the government and the private sector. Sustained disinflation has been witnessed in the last 9 months, driven by tight monetary policy pursued by the Central Bank of the Gambia. The exchange rate has also stabilized, and the gap between the official and parallel market has almost closed. Under the leadership of His Excellency President Adama Barrow, the government is embarking on a new set of revenue reforms. Resultantly, revenue collection is an upward trajectory. Despite the fiscal pressures, the government managed to successfully host the OIC, complete critical infrastructure projects, and support poverty alleviation programs. To ensure strategic and impactful use of public resources going forward, the government is scaling up the program-based budgeting. These efforts are meant to transition from the traditional line budgeting to a program-based budget framework. The framework demonstrates a clear linkage between the ministry's departments and agencies' budget programs and the Recovery Focus NDP. By aligning the budget allocations with national priorities, shifts this emphasis from input-based budgeting to performance-focused budgeting. This enhances the effectiveness of decision-making and the drive to more strategic and impactful use of public resources. The 2025 budget is anchored on reduction of the overall fiscal deficit, aimed at achieving debt sustainability while enhancing economic development. For this reason, the government intends to continue the drive towards rationalization of expenditure, improve domestic revenue mobilization, restructuring domestic debts, and focusing on concession financing of infrastructure projects identified in the Recovery Focus NDP. On the spending side, the 2025 budget seeks to support economic development through the provision of quality services in agriculture, education, health, infrastructure, development, and the modernization of the public administration for a more inclusive and resilient growth. Emphasis is being placed on building the human capital base through investment in education, health, support poverty spending, including emergency relief and the ongoing investments in infrastructure and energy. To this end, the theme of the 2025 budget is bolstering economic growth and reducing vulnerabilities while ensuring fiscal sustainability. Macroeconomic overview. Honorable Speaker, developments in the global economy. The global economic outlook, although stable, remains uninspiring. Risks are inclined to the downside. A flat growth of 3.2% is projected for 2024 and 2025. In the medium term, growth is projected to average 3.1%. This is lower compared to the pre-COVID pandemic average due to the persistent structural headwinds such as the aging population and weak productivity. Regarding regional growth, the anticipated recovery in the United States will be offset by slowdowns in advanced European economies. Similarly, disruptions to production due to conflicts, civil unrest, and extreme weather events in the Middle East and Central Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa will be compensated by the recovery in emerging Asia. The rate of disinflation is moderating and varying across regions. Global headline inflation is expected to fall from an annual average of 6.7% in 2023 to 5.8% in 2024 and 4.3% in 2025. Goods services have stabilized, good prices have stabilized, but services price inflation remains elevated in many regions. Advanced economies are expected to return to their inflation targets sooner than emerging markets and developing economies. As the global disinflation continues to progress, risks remain elevated due to growing geopolitical tensions. Developments in the domestic economy. Honorable Speaker, the Gambian economy has shown remarkable resilience in the face of global uncertainties. As a result, it is estimated to grow by 5.8% in 2024, compared to 4.8% recorded in 2023. The improvement is due to stable macroeconomic environment, strategic investments in infrastructural projects, increased productivity in agriculture, recovery in tourism, and resilient remittance inflows. On the sector-specific developments, crop production continued to underpin the agricultural sector, growth due to support from the government. The livestock subsector is estimated to maintain an upward trajectory, while fisheries and aquaculture subsectors are estimated to recover from contraction on account of renewed focus on aquacultural development. Overall, the sector is projected to grow by 6.6% in 2024. The industrial sector, which was driven mainly by construction over the past years, is estimated to register a growth of 0.8%. The slowdown is due mainly to the completion of many high-impact public projects. However, the private sector infrastructure projects remain robust. Domestic electricity generation is recording a gradual increase on account of new projects, although demand continues to outstrip supply. The mining sector is estimated to stabilize, while manufacturing growth is estimated to register a modest growth due to competitiveness challenges. The services sector is expected to register a strong growth of 8.4% in 2024, driven by tourism and trade. This is due to targeted intervention by the Gambia Tourism Board and the rising consumer spending following price stabilization. On the prices front, the sustained tight monetary policy stand has triggered moderation in inflation from 16.7% in January to 10.0% by September. The implementation of the foreign exchange policy by the central bank, coupled with increased foreign currency inflows, restored exchange rate stability. Public finances reflect mixed performance in 2024. The revenue mobilization reforms adopted and implemented by the government are yielding significant results. At the end of September 2024, domestic revenue collection for the first 9 months of the year amounted to 24.2 billion against a target of 23.1 billion. Tax revenues amounted to 13.24 billion, an increase of 3.6% over the projection. Additionally, non-tax revenue, particularly administrative fees, reached 4.4 billion, significantly surpassing the target of 3.53 billion. Grant disbursements remain resilient. In overall, revenue and grants outturn for the year is expected to exceed target. With regards to expenditure, budget execution has been particularly difficult this year due to the unanticipated spending shocks. These include the intervention of the government to the tune of $20 million, equivalent to $1.4 billion to NAWEC, to settle areas with independent power producers. These payments serve as tariff compensation to cushion the population from tariff increase, which would have put untold economic challenges on the citizens. Other expenditure pressures came from the hosting of a very successful OIC summit. The anticipated financial support for hosting of the summit was not realized, and the government was obliged to bankroll the expenditure related to the summit. Consequently, the overall expenditure execution as at end September was at 84%. To absorb the unforeseen expenditures during the year, government managed to reprioritize certain expenditures to achieve the net domestic borrowing target. These measures include constraints on expenditure on use of goods and services with execution rate of 57% over the period. Due to higher than planned expenditure, the overall deficit, including grants for the first 9 months, stood at 7.2 billion. With the unexpected disbursement in the budget support, in the last quarter and expenditure restraint, the deficit is expected to slow to 5.1 billion by the year end, against the target of key sectors. Honorable Speaker, we now turn to the key sectors of the economy, and we begin with the finance and economic affairs. The ministry is making efforts to strengthen the linkages between the budget and the NDP. For the first time, the government will be sharing booklets containing information on intended program results from all ministries, departments, and agencies. The government also intends to build on the gains registered on the introduction of gender-responsive budgeting and to embark on climate tagging to facilitate the tracking of climate expenditures. On the public financial management reforms, the ministry has developed state-owned enterprise regulations and a dividend policy. The ministry has also concluded midterm review of the Public Financial Management Strategy 2021 to 2025 and focus is now on developing a new PFM strategy 2026 to 2030. Similarly, the review and amendment of the Public Finance Management Act is ongoing to ensure efficient management of government assets. An asset management policy was formulated and adopted. The ministry is also working on finalizing a new aid policy which provides a framework for the operational guidance of aid to improve its alignment and harmonization to national priorities. The government is planning to embark on advocacy and resource mobilization missions for the Recovery Focus NDP. An integrated national financing framework strategy was developed, which seeks to provide a framework for sustainable financing of national development priorities. To improve the monitoring of the National Development Plan, the Indicator Metadata Handbook was designed to provide comprehensive information on the indicator definition, description, relevance, and calculation methodology, among others. The government will participate in 2025 voluntary national review to assess the country's progress in the implementation of the SDGs. The productive sectors. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Agriculture, with the support of development partners, continue to drive its transformation agenda guided by the Recovery Focus NDP. Through various interventions, production of key commodities across this country significantly increased during the 2023-2024 agricultural seasons. This was driven by increases in yields for maize, rice, etc. For the 2024-2025, the ministry provided fertilizer support amounting to 35,000 metric tons, including 1,000 tons of organic fertilizer for vegetable growers and 5,513 bags of 50 kilograms of chemical fertilizer. High-yielding seeds amounting to 67.4 tons were also distributed. On livestock, the ministry implemented various development initiatives which contributed significantly to the growth and sustainability of the sector. The Livestock Master Plan and the Livestock Sector Strategy were developed as roadmaps, along with updated veterinary legislation and the Animal Health Act of 2023. In 2024 and 25 seasons, the ministry aims to increase land preparation and yield using high seed varieties targeting 4 tons per hectare. The ministry will engage the private sector by expanding the SME, matching grants, and other incentives to attract youth and women into agriculture and improve market access. It also plans to launch the Gamisal to increase financing access and build institutional capacity for research and development. Developing the value chain for key crops and livestock remains central to improving production and productivity in the near term. Fisheries and water resources. The ministry, with the support from development partners, implemented various projects and programs aimed at improving the sustainability of the fisheries and water resources sector. These include procuring and installing 40 automated rainfall stations in all administrative regions. This will enable the department to increase its weather forecast accuracy and monitoring. The ministry also launched a regional project in July 24 to improve water access by populations facing the effects of climate change. Moreover, fish processing technology that help to improve health and the quality of women fish smokers were distributed. To enhance the participation of Gambians in fisheries, the ministry procured 20 new artisanal fishing boats. As part of the plans in 2025, the ministry will be strengthening the fisheries jetty infrastructure in Banjul to enable the licensed industrial vessels to comply with the 100% landing requirements in the Gambia. This will increase employment and availability of fish for domestic consumption. The government will operationalize the national hatchery to produce quality fingerlings. The ministry will also prioritize construction and installing of 55 large solar-powered pipe water supply systems to provide safe and quality drinking water to 250,000 people in the rural areas. Communication and digital economy. The Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy is finalizing the formulation of the Communications Bill 2024 that will enhance the legal and regulatory frameworks, sustain the principles of fair competition, and ensure quality, affordable services for consumers. Concerning the digital infrastructure, contract for the second subsea fiber optic cable transaction advisory was signed in July 24. This initiative will ensure adequate redundancy in the first mile as well as increased bandwidth capacity. The ministry is prioritizing further upgrades and expansion of the LTE networks to onboard and extend reliable connectivity to government offices to improve efficiency and timely service delivery. Priority is also being given to creation of the 202,375 digital addresses comprising of households, businesses, and landmarks in the West Coast region. Tourism and culture. The tourism sector has shown remarkable recovery trend. To sustain the trajectory, the Ministry of Tourism and Culture introduced 2 new tour operators in 2024. The Gambia Tourism Board, in collaboration with the development partners and the private sector participants, has come up with various marketing and diversification initiatives such as rolling out another Smiling Coast destination video, introduction of placards across all registered tourism establishments throughout the country, and the establishment of agri-food processing and packaging unit to encourage the use of local ingredients and create employment opportunities for youths. In the area of culture, the sector prioritizes heritage conservation for job creation and economic upliftment of our communities. In 2025, the subsector plans to demarcate other TDAs such as the North Coast and the Kiang West National Park. The sector will also roll out more youth-friendly products such as theme parks as well as picnic hubs in the TDA-1 to target the millennials. The sector also plans to pursue the revamping of Site Museum at Fort Bullen, among other programs. Trade, industry, and regional integration. The ministry has been extensively involved in mitigating the impacts of global market uncertainties, ensuring priority berthing for vessels carrying essential commodities, and extending the duty waiver for rice importation. These efforts have helped stabilize prices and ensure the availability of essential commodities. Efforts are also directed towards the formulation and implementation of the African Free Continental Trade National Implementation Strategy. The ministry also prioritized the She Trade Hub program, which aims to support women-owned businesses. In labor and employment, the ministry facilitated the signing of bilateral labor agreements with UAE, Saudi Arabia, and negotiations are ongoing with Qatar and Spain. These initiatives aim to gradually reverse the irregular migration trends and promote manpower exchange. In export promotion, GAIPA has enhanced the global presence of the Gambian products. In 2025, the ministry plans to expand trade facilitation efforts, advance sugar import negotiations, and broaden the China duty-free trade quota scheme, which is a non-reciprocal tariff preference program for the LDCs, the least developed countries. The African Continental Free Trade Implementation Strategy will be intensified with a focus on priority sectors. Regional integration efforts will focus on finalizing the trade and transit cooperation agreement with Senegal and Guinea-Bissau while expanding the LUMO modernization program. With regard to the industrial development, plans include launching the trade corridor and the special economic zones. The ministry will also continue to strengthen its labor migration framework and work towards enacting the legal metrology bill while operationalizing the National Reference Food Testing Laboratory. Ministry of Works Infrastructure. This ministry remains committed to improving the infrastructure of the country. Significant work on road infrastructure has been witnessed. Through government local funds, government is funding the construction of key priority roads nationwide with a total length of 355 kilometers. The widening of the Batin-Hardin Highway has reduced travel time by more than half for commuters traveling from Banjul to the airport. The 50-kilometer urban roads project is progressing steadily. Despite the challenges encountered during the implementation, the Nyomi Hakalang and the Kiang West roads are in their final stages. Priority has been given to road maintenance programs and, in some instances, expanding the network. Among the prioritized roads are the Kerewan Jawara Road, Bani Salikenya, and Brufut Madiana Kunkuja. They are all expected to be inaugurated in the first quarter of 2025. The Gambia Civil Aviation has successfully commissioned ultra-modern Doppler VHF omnidirectional range DBOR at Banjul International Airport in the second quarter of 2024. This has enhanced operational safety and efficiency at the Banjul International Airport. In line with the NDP, GCAA is undertaking works on the overlaying the runway pavement and construction of a modern loop at runway 14. These works, which will cost $20 million, are expected to enhance the safety of aircraft operations and prolong the lifespan of the runway. Concerning the GPA, significant strides are made in enhancing operational efficiency of the port. Port handling capacity increased following the implementation of the cutting-edge technology and acquisition of cargo handling equipment. This has already started to ease congestion and improve turnaround times for vessels. Additionally, the acquisition of the Banjul Habdai properties to increase the port's container storage capacity was completed. In 2025, the ministry has prioritized the implementation of Phase 3 Batin-Hardin Highway project, which will address most of the safety deficiencies and the issues relating to the congestion at the roundabouts, as well as some of the heavily traveled intersections. Phase 3 includes the construction of service roads, roundabouts, pedestrian crossings, improved storm drainage systems, and a new overpass at the Sukuta roundabout. Plans are also included in implementing a terminal operating system and a port community system to streamline operations. Petroleum and energy. The energy sector remains one of the key priorities of the government as enshrined in the NDP. NAWEC has continued to register improvement in electricity subsector despite the demand outstripping supply. As part of the strategy to diversify sources of energy while reducing the negative impact of environment, NAWEC has inaugurated a 23-megawatt solar power plant in Jambur at the beginning of 2024. The Petroleum Commission has set up and hosted 2 data rooms visits for reputable oil companies as part of licensing activities. A license management system has been developed to enhance the monitoring of the implementation of licensing and contracts. To ensure the attainment of vibrant and more transparent geo-extractive industry, the ministry is in the process of developing a minerals and mining policy and a mining cadastral system. In 2025, the ministry prioritizes the implementation of an integrated data management system which will enhance access, retrieval, and preservation of valuable geological and geophysical data. Access to clean water, the NAWEC will expand access to water and sanitation service in the rural and peri-urban areas. This is aimed at achieving universal access with a minimum coverage of about 85% by the end of 2025. Social sectors. Honorable Speaker, as per its mandate, the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education continues to improve the teaching and learning environment, especially in underserved areas. A significant increase in enrollment across all educational levels has been recorded. In 2024, relative to 2023. To accommodate the growing number of schools increased from 3,690 to 3,839 over the same period. Over 5,500 new classrooms with furniture and 5,000 toilet cubicles with facilities catered for physically challenged students across the madrasa and conventional schools were constructed as of June 2024. The ministry during the year prioritized technical and vocational education to ensure that youths are equipped with essential skills that meet the labor market demands. Additionally, the Second Chance Education Program has been expanded, enrolling 600 participants nationwide in 2024. The ministry has also initiated a comprehensive needs assessment of the education sector to improve quality education at all levels. To address the challenges of the timely textbook supply and replacement, negotiations are nearing completion for the procurement and delivery of lower and upper basic school textbooks. The ministry has launched a MOPSI radio station on 89.3 FM, currently covering the Greater Banjul area and parts of the Phoenix, with plans for national coverage. Higher education. As part of government's effort to support research and innovation, the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology has inaugurated the state-of-the-art facility at the University of the Gambia, Faraba Bantan Campus, Lot 1. Additionally, the ministry, in collaboration with the Organization of Southern Cooperation, signed a cooperation agreement to establish a multidisciplinary research facility at the University of the Gambia, Faraba Bantan Campus that will provide unlimited access to online resources. Construction works on Lot 2 of the UTG Faraba Bantan campuses are ongoing and are expected to be completed by end of March 2025. Similarly, the ministry will establish 2 additional training centers in Combo South and Lower Fuladu, respectively, that will focus on agribusiness and fisheries. Construction works at the University of Applied Science and Technology, Science, Engineering and Technology, USET, Brikama campus, are expected to be completed by end of 2024. As part of the activities of 2025, the ministry will prioritize the construction of the School of Medicine and Allied Sciences, which will include dentistry, pharmacy, nursing, and public health and medicine. Health. The Ministry of Health continues to strive to deliver quality health services and prevention measures. The investment in the health sector has resulted in improved critical health care service delivery, particularly in areas such as maternal health, neonatal, and under 5 mortality ratios have all improved. The ministry developed an EHMRS-IS to improve healthcare personnel management. To date, it has 5,000 registrations. Efforts are being directed towards transitioning to digital data collection and improving the birth registration. The National Health Insurance Act was piloted at Bundu Maternal and Child Hospital, aiming at reducing out-of-pocket expenditure. The ministry in 2025 plans to build 5 new primary health care centers in hard-to-reach communities, complementing the 5 new health centers established earlier this year by His Excellency the President. Contracts have been awarded for the upgrading and refurbishing of Brikama into a significant health center and Buyam General Hospital to include postgraduate training. Additionally, the construction of the Emergency Treatment Center at Farato and the Food and Drug Lab at Brusubi will be scaled up. The ministry will also prioritize refurbishing 9 health facilities, constructing 6 health posts nationwide, creating 8 additional health posts to increase access and quality of services. Ministry of Gender. The ministry remains committed to achieving gender equality and parity and promoting women's participation in all social, political, and economic activities as enshrined in the National Gender Policy 2024-2035. In line with this, the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Welfare is implementing an economic and financial inclusion of girls and young women through formation of cooperatives, capacity building on income-generating activities and programs. In 2024, the ministry has made disbursements to 8,400 women across 3 regions in the country and established a disability fund to provide financial support to the disabled individuals. The ministry is also implementing a family strengthening program that offers a monthly cash transfer of $1,000 per beneficiary, targeting older persons, disabled individuals, orphan children, and female-headed households. In 2025, the ministry will prioritize political empowerment of women and girls by facilitating the promulgation of Women Reservation Right Bill. The ministry will also implement new policies and programs that will include establishment of a project implementation unit, rehabilitation of office spaces, acquiring a permanent office, and popularizing the Disability Act of 2023, the National Gender Policy, and setting up special court for SGBV, sexually gender-based violence, and re-evaluating children protection strategies. Social protection. The Gambia government continues to demonstrate its commitment to social protection. Work has started on mainstreaming social assistance into the national budget rather than relying on ad hoc and project-based cash transfers. In 2024, the government piloted the support to vulnerable groups such as orphans and vulnerable children, people with disabilities, female-headed households, and older persons. To consolidate the gains, the first ever direct legislation on social assistance sector, the Social Protection Act, was passed in July 2024. To demonstrate government's commitment, the Act seeks to set standards of social service delivery to the poor and the vulnerable communities, especially the marginalized communities groups such as people living with disabilities, widows, orphans, and people living with HIV, among others. In 2025, the plan is to operationalize the Social Protection Fund established by the Social Protection Secretariat with a starting capital of $200 million. This will finance the expansion of the government cash transfer to vulnerable groups and other social interventions across different sectors as defined in the National Social Protection Regulation 2024. Youth and sports. The Ministry of Youth and Sports made significant strides in youth empowerment and sports development in 2024. Key initiatives include the successful implementation of comprehensive youth development programs such as vocational training, entrepreneurship opportunities, and mentorship schemes, all aimed at equipping young people with the skills and confidence needed for sustainable livelihood. The Gambia Shanghai Initiative trained young people in integrated farming, contributing to food security and poverty reduction. In sports, the ministry focused on enhancing infrastructure by revamping existing facilities and constructing new sports centers nationwide. Investments in the sports sector, gear, and skilled coaches have supported young athletes to excel. Additionally, strategic partnerships with schools and community organizations have helped identify and nurture talent from early age. In 2025, the ministry plans to secure bases for the National Enterprise Development Initiatives and the National Sports Council, and to acquire the necessary equipment and vehicles to enhance operational capacity. The ministry will prioritize investing in the youth empowerment and sports development with a focus on expanding the infrastructure and strengthening partnerships to ensure sustainable progress in these sectors. Cross-cutting sectors. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Interior. To manage migration effectively, the ministry has developed a roadmap for the return and reintegration of migrants in the Gambia. The Geneva Center for Security Sector Governance Immigration Project was initiated to address critical gaps in the Immigration Department legal and policy framework. To to improve the border management, foster peace, stability, and security. Construction of immigration border posts was launched in Amdalai, Kerali, and Jiboro. A joint task force has been set up to monitor and apprehend illegal migrants and alleged criminals in sensitive areas. The ministry developed key policies, including the gender mainstreaming policy, internal investigation policy, and review of the 1940 Police Act, 49 Police Act. The Gambia Prison Services improved the safe transportation of inmates by purchasing vehicles and receiving support from the GTSC. The Gambia Fire and Rescue Services responded to 432 calls in 2023, including fire incidents, extrication, sea rescues, and fatalities. The Drug Law Enforcement Agency successfully implemented the supply suppression strategy, seizing significant quantity of controlled substances such as cannabis, hashish, ecstasy, methamphetamine, and cocaine, while prosecuting multiple suspects nationwide. To ensure drug demand reduction, the agency reinforced public awareness through local TV and radio programs and launched additional drug-free clubs in schools, educating students about the dangers of drug use. In 2025, the ministry will prioritize improving public confidence through better service delivery, building capacity and development, enhancing police capabilities, and strengthening police governance. The prison department will construct a modern kitchen at Joshua and Janjanbureh prisons to enhance feeding of inmates. The Gambia Fire Rescue Services will intensify fire safety awareness across all regions and municipalities by providing refresher courses for officers and firefighters, upgrading the Brikama and Bara fire station, completing the backfilling at the Serekunda Fire and Rescue Station ground. The ministry will also prioritize enhancing manpower needs and the construction of a forensic laboratory and exhibit store. Information. The ministry has made significant progress in 2024. Some of the achievements include hosting of bi-weekly Mansakunda monthly press conferences, broadcasting of sector-specific documentaries on development-focused programs and projects, and conducting the training of information officers from various MDAs on implementing the Access to Information Act 2021. The ministry is also formulating an information and communication policy to establish guidelines and frameworks to manage information within the government effectively. Lastly, the establishment of the ATI Commission will help to monitor and oversee the implementation of ATI Act 2021. The ministry is working on the finalization and of the formulation of the Personal Data Protection and Privacy Bill 2024. The ministry plans to undertake outreach programs to enhance communication strategies by ensuring that information about government programs and projects reaches the entire population. Strategic communication consultants would be contracted to develop a strategic communication plan to ensure that high-quality information content is accessible in the local language, and a regular monitoring and reporting framework to measure the impact of communication activities. The ministry will ensure that information, media, and broadcasting bill will be tabled before the National Assembly by the second quarter of 2025. The bill will harmonize emerging issues on information, media, and broadcasting sectors to harness the demographic dividends